Former President Donald Trump made history today, becoming the first former president in U.S. history to be charged with a crime.
These are pictures from inside the courtroom as Trump pled not guilty to 34 felony counts. Those charges are related to an alleged hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
And we have team coverage right now. We want to send it over to Michael George in New York with the latest details. Michael.
Well, I can tell you that the hundreds and hundreds of protesters here are starting to head home. And also heading home right now, former President Donald Trump, after pleading not guilty to 34 felonies. And this afternoon in court, we finally learned the details behind the case known as the People versus Donald Trump in the courtroom. A somber-looking former President Donald Trump entered court to face criminal charges in connection with hush money payments made to an adult film star in 2016. Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts related to falsifying business records pertaining to that payment.
He's frustrated, he's upset, but I'll tell you what, he's motivated.
During the court hearing, the judge told Trump to refrain from social media posts that could foment unrest after messages critical of the prosecutor. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who's overseeing the case, spoke to the media afterwards.
The defendant repeatedly made false statements on New York business records. These are felony crimes in New York State, no matter who you are.
Across from the courthouse, police have tried to separate pro and anti-Trump protesters. Now, these planned protests don't have a permit, which means that police can declare an unlawful assembly if things get out of hand. Georgia Congresswoman and Trump ally Marjorie Taylor Greene called the proceedings an injustice.
Donald J. Trump is innocent. This is election interference.
And anti-Trump demonstrators say justice has been a long time coming.
It's really satisfying as a New Yorker to see him finally see the inside of a courtroom and face a judge like every other criminal.
Trump's lawyers say they'll fight the prosecution in court. Once back in Florida, the former president plans to hold a rally with invited guests tonight at his Mar-a-Lago estate. And the Trump team plans to immediately file to get this case thrown out. Now, it's important to note that while Trump has called this case politically motivated, the decision as to whether or not there was enough evidence to charge him criminally wasn't made by a DA and it wasn't made by a judge. It was made by 23 regular citizens on the grand jury. In Manhattan, Michael George, send it back to you.
The indictment of former President Donald Trump is unprecedented. So what kind of repercussions could we see? Gerald Harris speaking with the presidential historian. He's live at Rice University with more on this. Gerald.
Yeah, some presidential historians call this indictment a watershed moment in the history of the United States of America. Now, traditionally, a former president of the United States is given great deference. The indictment of Donald Trump by Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg on a hush money payment to an adult film actress falsifying business records and conspiracy could set a new standard, according to Rice University presidential historian Mark Jones.
Joe Biden in the future and future presidents may now have to deal with criminal charges after they leave office, especially in our increasingly polarized society where you're going to be able to probably find district attorneys and grand juries in liberal areas to indict Republicans and in conservative areas to indict Democrats.
Historically, you'll have to go back to Watergate and the Nixon administration for a similar comparison. Nixon was given a blanket pardon. The other, 150 years ago, 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant was arrested for speeding in Washington, D.C. after he was given a warning by the same officer. Now, as you can tell, criminal proceedings against a president of the United States or a former president of the United States is rare. Back to you guys.
All right, Gerald, thank you. And we'll have more coverage on this on our website, khou.com.